Diablo 4 plunges you once again into the depths of the treacherous world of Sanctuary. In order to survive and thrive, you have to learn your enemies and your tools inside and out. You also have to learn about your surroundings and how to fine-tune the opponent's difficulty and your equipment to suit your goals. So to help you succeed, we have some tips for you as you begin your journey, so I hope you are ready for these. Choosing a class is the most crucial decision that affects your gameplay and overall play style. While you must consider additional factors such as your preference for melee over range combat or active versus relaxed playstyle, the most crucial factor is, and always will be, which character fantasy catches your eye. Keep in mind, especially if you are a returning player, that despite what you're used to in Diablo 3, Paragon progression is not shared among your characters in Diablo 4, and it costs a lot of gold to reset your Paragon and skill points. Stack on top of that the significantly longer leveling process, and you have even higher emphasis on the choice of starting characters. If you gravitate towards a character archetype that fits your desires as a player, you are much more likely to stick through the grind and the tougher challenges of the endgame to reach your character's full potential. So in light of that, let's go over the 5 classes that Diablo 4 offers. Starting off with the Barbarian. The Barbarian should be your prime choice if you love the thrill of melee combat and the gore of slain demons. The Barbarian uses charges, slashes, and slams to crush his foes, fueled by a frenzied rage but fortified by powerful war cries. You will generate your energies by fighting, leaping, and shouting, and then you can unleash the accumulated fury in a massive sweeping attack. The Barbarian is the ultimate example of a brutal fighter. Their skills use Fury, a resource that builds up in combat and drains slowly out of it. All Barbarian skills have physical damage as their default type. At level 15, a Barbarian unlocks the Arsenal system, their unique class mechanic which allows them to assign a specific equipped weapon to a specific attack skill, as well as granting other bonuses. Barbarians also gain the Technique slot, which allows them to use an additional weapon power of their choice. Moving forward though, let's talk about the Druid. Now the Druid is the master of shape changing, assuming the forms of bear and wolf to rend, claw, and pulverize the demonic hordes. Nature herself answers the Druid's call, thundering down with the unrelenting storms and bone-crushing landslides. You can also summon beasts of the wild to fight at your side. The Druid can switch between lumbering and durable beastly shapes, and then also the more susceptible but elementally stronger human form. Druid skills use Spirit, an intensely managed resource that regularly gets consumed in bulk, rewarding smart and calculated use of the regenerative basic skills. True to nature's balance, Druids split pretty evenly between melee and ranged skills, and largely inflict physical, lightning, and poison damage. At level 15, a Druid gained Druid Spirit boons, which allow them to pick one of the 4 passive bonuses unique to their primal spirits. In turn, the selection of a particular spirit lets the Druid select 2 boons that enhance and broaden their strengths of the build. Let's jump forward and talk about the Necromancer now. The Necromancer likely beckons to you if you are enticed by the practice of the dark arts and the channeling of forbidden energies. You will sharpen the bones of nearby slain with the sheer force of your will and unleash them against your enemies. You will spill fountains of blood to empower your spells, all while summoning massive armies of the dead from their very graves. With crippling curses and ample ways to control the battlefield, you are an undead force to be reckoned with. Necromancers make use of 2 resources, their innate essence as well as corpses littered across the battlefield, as engines for the destruction they bring. At level 15, Necromancers attain the Book of the Dead, which allows them to tailor their skeletal warriors, mages, and golem to the needs of their Necromancer's chosen build. The sacrifice of your ability to summon altogether is another very viable choice, and the Necromancer will attain fitting bonuses accordingly. But now let's sneak our way into the Rogue, and the Rogue is your best bet if you love annihilating your enemy through superior agility, switching between backstabbing blows, piercing arrows, and explosive contraptions. You have both mechanical and supernatural wonders at your disposal, as well as the powers of shadow that cloak and empower you. The Rogue's combat style favors swift maneuvers around the battlefield, spreading devastating gadgets such as grenades and traps. Rogue's skills use energy, a resource that slowly regenerates on its own or can be replenished rapidly through various effects. Most of their skills have physical damage as their default type, but there are also various mechanics that involve cold, poison, and shadow damage subtypes. At level 15, rogues obtain their specialization, which allows them to choose one of 3 passive bonuses that enhance their combat capabilities. Uniquely, rogues can swap between specialization at any given time, including in the heat of battle. If you guys are going to be no-lifing Diablo like us, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because we're going to be posting a ton of D4 content, and you are not going to want to miss it. But last up, let's talk about the Sorcerer. And the Sorcerer is the bender of raw elements. using the force of fire, ice, and lightning to wreak havoc on your enemies. While unleashing their arcane knowledge through storms, twisters, and fiery explosions, the sorcerer is encased by mighty shields of ice, allowing him to delve into the fray just as viably as raining spells from afar. Intricate spell interactions both within and between the separate elements make the sorcerer a challenging yet very satisfying character to wield. Sorcerer skills are fueled by mana, a resource generated as you hurl and channel arcane energy left and right on the battlefield. At level 15, sorcerers open up their enhancement slots, which allow them to fine-tune their build with passive effects from their very spellbook. In practice, this allows you to use 8 skills in any given build, allowing interweaving spell complexity of unmatched proportions. But now that we have the characters out of the way, let's talk about the difficulty selection. Which difficulty should you select? With your character ready, this is the final fork in the road before heading to Sanctuary. Fortunately, the game is quite explicit and honest in the options it presents you with. If Diablo 4 is your first serious stab at playing an action RPG, go for the Adventurer difficulty. This setting helps you get the hang of the game, all of its systems, without being too brutal on you. If Diablo 4 is not your first rodeo in an ARPG territory, opting for the considerably more difficult veteran tier is a more viable move to make. An important thing to note is that the various leveling builds will handle the two difficulties quite differently, with some being able to handle the harder hitting monsters better than others. This doesn't make them strictly better, as their performance will sometimes hinge on conditions such as items, progression sensitive unlocks, and other things. Always remember the ARPG rule of thumb, play on the difficulty you are most efficient at. Action RPGs reward the expended slaughter of hordes of monsters far better than the slow triumph over a higher difficulty setting. But now let's talk about the very basics, and to start with this, we gotta talk about leveling up. Starting from level 2, you earn 1 skill point per level up until level 49. This gives you a total of 48 skill points before Renown, which adds up to 10 more. Invest skill points into your basic skills until you unlock your core skills. Keep doing this, picking skills and passives that best enhance them for the playstyle you aspire to. A quick tip while playing, pressing shift allows you to attack in place without moving. This is especially useful for ranged classes, but also for melee to ensure your character does not reposition by accident, putting you in unnecessary danger. Another tip that will save your character's life is to use evade. By default, it is bound to spacebar on your keyboard. This will help you avoid incoming hurt. Diablo 4 introduces a dodge mechanic for all classes that allows you to quickly reposition out of harm's way, or to use it to offensively shorten the distance to your enemy. Evading even ignores enemy collision, but is relatively short in range and has considerable cooldown, so make sure to use it strategically. Moving forward though, let's talk about gearing up. And replacing the basic items you wear with equipment found while adventuring is essential to keep your character up to speed. The common white colored items will soon be replaced by magic blue colored items, then quickly progress into rare, the yellow ones, and eventually legendary, the orange ones. A tip on equipment, the listed damage range on a weapon is crucial, regardless if you are a melee-oriented barbarian or a spell-slinging sorcerer. All skill damage is calculated based on weapon damage range, so keep that in mind. And a rule of thumb for upgrades, about a 30% increase in weapon DPS is generally an upgrade regardless of the other properties. Now you can also upgrade weapons at the blacksmith to boost your DPS. The first few upgrades are particularly cheap, making it an efficient way of squeezing out some more damage from your current gear. And legendary items that you have outscaled and outgrown can and should be stashed away to get their aspects extracted for other builds and characters. Only resort to salvaging legendaries that you have absolutely no use of. Moving forward though, let's talk about stocking up. And the world of Sanctuary is littered with material rewards, and you will do well to be on the lookout for them. Ores and herbs can be gathered from nodes in the overworld, while the completion of side quests and local events will reward you with caches and chests respectively. Never skimp on acquiring these seemingly little rewards, as you will need them in bulk in order to improve your character in various ways. Upgrading armor, jewelry, enchanting your gear, improving your potions, crafting elixirs, and more. A quick tip on elixirs, craft them and use them consistently in order to take advantage of the 30-minute increased experience gain. Elixirs are obtainable through alchemists in town or even from quests. And elixirs also boost resistances, so you can make up for defensive deficiencies in your gear when needed. At levels 10, 20, 30, 45, 60, 70, 80, and 90, you will be able to upgrade your potion at the alchemist. Always do that when available. And you should always be socketing gems into empty slots across your gear, and when they become outdated, salvage the item at the blacksmith to get the gem back for free. But now let's talk about spending wisely. While hoarding is also never advisable, strive to only use currency when you anticipate a tangible improvement added to your character. Slain enemies drop gold, and you will need vast quantities of it over time in order to re-roll and upgrade pieces of your equipment, as well as to salvage legendary items into legendary aspects. The latter can then be transferred over to rare or legendary items with better base stats, resulting in an overall upgrade for that slot. Murmuring Obols are the gambling currency of D4, and they are acquired mostly by completing local events that you stumble upon in the overworld. While you will earn a base amount for the completion of the event, mastering it, meaning the successful resolution of its requirements, will net you even more. Other sources of Obols are caches that are rewarded at side quests, so don't neglect these on your way through Sanctuary. Obols are used at the Purveyor of Curiosities vendor. Early on, use them on your worst and most outdated gear slots at any given time. Obols are generally plentiful, so don't be too stingy with them. Also, get a Whispering Key or two in your inventory so you don't miss out on randomized locked chests around the overworld. But now let's talk about getting your very own horse, because you will be getting your mount a little further in the campaign. This is by completing the priority quest called Mount Donan's Favor, and this is part of the Skoskland campaign and becomes available in the city of Kiovashad. Moving forward, get with the aspects. To get to the aspects, you want to check the map for dungeons that drop them and go hunting. You can use the codex to imprint aspects repeatedly and relatively low cost. Aspects are divided among gear slots as the follows: offensive, gloves or amulet; resource, helmet; utility, chest; defensive, pants; mobility, boots. Since you may switch weapons often, it is better to put offensive aspects on armor or the amulet. This way you can benefit from them more, as weapons are the key slot for skill scaling. Now, to summarize this all up, look inward and decide what playstyle you prefer for your character, then choose your class based on that. Otherwise, you won't have fun, and there isn't a bigger wrench in your action RPG efficiency than that. Remember, the only way to play a video game wrong is to not have fun while doing it. Then decide if you want to play hardcore or softcore along with the difficulty setting. Softcore will be more relaxed and casual, but there's also nothing quite like the adrenaline rush of hardcore morality. As you start out, give the early game tooltips a read through, especially as you attain priority quests that take you to the crafters and vendors, which are essential to your equipment upgrades. At level 15, make sure to complete your class priority quest to unlock your unique class mechanic to further enhance the capabilities of your chosen character. And also, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Diablo 4 tips, tricks, and news. Thank you all for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.